Alright guys, I'm about to explain to you guys, and yes, I'm hands-free, not driving. Well, I'm driving.
I want McDonald's.
I'm driving, but I am hands-free. I am going to explain to you guys about the 8-2 split. Alright, you're gonna have to understand the 11-hour or the 14-hour drive clock. You're gonna have to have a basic understanding of that. And I'll give you a real quick. When you go on duty, you have 14 hours to get 11 hours of drive time done. So that's basically
in 300 feet, take the entrance to the right on I-75 north I-640 east.
Wait till I take the entrance to the right on I-75, 640 east. Make sure I don't squish anybody. She's going to talk again. I'm going to have to pause. Alright. The 8-2 split. 8 plus 2. Yeah. 8 plus 2 is 11, right? So we're allowed to drive 11 hours.
Mile. Keep to the left on I-640.
You done now, girl? Ugh. Anyway, so you have 11 hours, or 14 hours, I'm sorry. You have 14 hours to get 11 hours of drive in. So if it takes
in 600 feet, keep to the left on I-640.
She's going to stop eventually. If it takes you 13 hours to get 11 hours of driving in, and that's what it is what it is. If it takes you 12 hours to get 11 hours of driving in, you drove hard. You're done.
In 1.5 miles, slight right on I-75 north I-275 south.
Last time I turned her down, I couldn't hear her. And I had a speed event. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. But anyway, okay, so you have, within a 14-hour drive period, you have to get 11, you don't have to, but you should get 11 hours of driving. That's driving hard, that's making money, that's keeping that left door closed, right foot down, only when it's safe. So, now to explain the 8-2 split. If you drive 11 hours on Monday, and today is Monday, but we're not going to use it today. Say on Monday, you drive 11 hours. And then you go into sleeper for 8 hours. When you wake up, you have no drive time. If on Monday you drove 10 hours, I'm going to miss my turn again. On Monday, if you drive 10 hours, you go into sleep for 8 hours. Tuesday, when you wake up, you have 1 hour of drive time. On Monday, if you drove 5 hours, you go into sleeper for 8 hours. You'll wake up in 8 hours. You went to sleeper or you drove for 5 hours, so you'll have 6 hours of drive time. Kind of weird, huh? I don't want to miss my exit to Lexington. So the way an 8-2 split works is you drive, let's say I drove for 5.5 hours on Monday. And then I go into sleeper Monday night for 8 hours of sleeper. I wake up in 8 hours. I go check my clock. I'll have 5.5 hours of drive time left. How is that, you may ask? That is called an 8-2 split. Whatever I did not finish out of my 11 hours. Oh, Fox 8 News is lit now. Legionnaire's disease and a church in Parma, Ohio. Oh, somebody texted me, asked me how training goes. Go watch my YouTube videos, you'll find out. Anyway, okay. So, on Monday, I drove 5.5 hours of my total 11. I go into sleeper for 8 hours. The drive clock, I'm starting to understand, is based on 8-hour revolving clock. That's all the DOT cares about is 8 hours at a time. So we're straight for 171 miles. Get this video done. Lots of traffic though. But okay, so Monday I drove for 5.5 hours. I go into sleeper for 8 hours. I wake up Tuesday morning after 8 hours. I'm going to have 5.5 hours of drive time. Not my full 11. A flatbed? It has been a while. Guys, don't interrupt me. I'm easily distracted by sloths and pretty much everything else. And okay, so Monday I drove 5.5 hours. I go to sleep for 8 hours. I wake up, I look at my clock, I'm gonna have 5.5 hours left of drive time. Because 5.5 hours on Monday, 5.5 hours on Tuesday, that's 11 hours. Well, how many hours do we get to drive in a day? 11 hours. And if you guys need this explained, please feel free to call me and I'll explain it to you further. So, braking. So I've been in a sleeper. I wake up, I have 5.5 hours of sleep. Now, why would I do this? Let's say that I'm only 2 hours away from my drop. Things with four wheels are trying to kill themselves. I know it. They're like cats. They see a space, they got to get in it. So, start all the way from beginning. I'm not going to get distracted this time, guys, I promise. Monday, I drove 5.5 hours. I go into sleeper for 2 hours. I go into sleeper for 8 hours. I'm only 2 hours away from Walmart to drop off. So I go in 5.5 hours because in my total 8 hours, I won't have enough time to get to the drop or get to Walmart. So I'm going to go to sleep for 8 hours. I wake up in 8 hours. I haven't been a sleeper for 10 hours to get my full 11 back, right? Because if I stay in my sleeper for my full 11 hours, my full 10 hours, I'll be late for my load. So, but I'm going to go in for 8 hours now. So I'm in 8 hours. I wake up, I'm going to have 5.5 hours of drive time. Because I'm getting the 5 hours back that I did, or 5.5 hours back that I didn't use on Monday for Tuesday, so I can get to my load. So now I get to Walmart. It only takes me 2 hours. I'm going to go back into sleeper for 2 more hours. When I wake back up, I'm going to have 8 hours of drive time. Because I finished my 10-hour sleeper berth time, because I did 8 hours and I drove a little bit, and then I did 2 hours. 2 plus 8 is 10. In my mind, this makes more sense. If you guys have any questions about this, feel free to contact me. I will explain this to you in great detail because I had to figure this out. Now, the 8-2 split will not work if you used all your drive time on the day before. Back to our example on Monday. If I drove for 10.5 hours and after 8 hours of sleeper, after I wake up, I'm only going to have a half an hour of drive time left because I drove 10.5 of my drive time on Monday. So I'm only going to get a half an hour back. So if I drove 7 hours on Monday and I did my 8-2 split, when I wake up in 8 hours, I'm only going to have 3 hours. Or I'm sorry, 8 hours, because 8 plus 2 is 11. Everything runs around your 11 and your 8. 11 and 8 are the big numbers, like I explained before. So you get that. Now let's get through that example out the window, and we're going to go back to our normal drive shift. I wake up, fresh clock. I drive 1 hour. I get to my shipper. I have only used 1 hour in my 8 hour. I've only used 1 hour of my 8 hour drive time. But I was sitting at Walmart for 2 hours. That's going to be enough time to give me a new 8 hour clock. Because remember I told you everything works on 8 hour increments. wish I had a board to be able to draw this for you guys. It'd probably be, well, at least I can explain it better. Because I'm a visual creature. Most guys are. So, you're going to have your 8 hours. And even, whether you're with England or you're with someone else, whoever it is, you guys have a question, comment below. Go to my website. Send me your information. I'll explain this to you in great detail.
I'm hungry!
But I feel like that was probably as confusing as the first video. But again, you guys have any questions, call me. I'll explain it to you.